Hello, this is Rob Mazak, and I'd like to take a moment to welcome you to the Life by Mazak podcast channel. Here on this channel, anything is possible. Any subject will and usually is discussed, and there's no telling how this message will unfold as we work through an idea, through an experience, or through a thought. These subjects come from the vast amount of information and experience through spirit, through life lessons, and from working with a lot of other people. Scripts are never used on this channel, and the message simply unfolds as the subject is discussed. Follow along and see where it leads us, or more specifically, where it leads me. These podcasts are produced in the hopes of helping others to benefit, to grow, and to excel in their own human experience. At Life by Mazak, we work towards helping you achieve wellness for your mind, your body, and your soul using many specialized services. Services that include psychic medium and tarot readings, quantum healing hypnosis, past life regression, intuitive Reiki healing, life coaching, and many other services. If you enjoyed this podcast, please click the like button and share this with others. Our goal is to reach as many people as we can with the knowledge that is shared on this podcast channel. Well, hello everyone, and good evening, good night, good morning, whatever part of the world you're in or whatever time you're listening to this. I decided to kind of stay in tonight, and I normally spend my evenings after work, afternoons, whatever, doing some type of physical activity, working out, going to the gym, lifting weights, power walking, cycling, whatever, playing soccer, practicing soccer, all the above. But tonight I just felt very compelled to kind of hibernate in my RV tonight. And my RV is where I stay during the week for work and go home on the weekends, generally, for the most part. But tonight it just felt like I needed to connect. And I do meditate regularly, but it hasn't been a really robust meditation recently where I haven't had a lot of long sessions, I guess you'd say. A lot of times because I'm simply really tired. My job is very stressful. Working out on top of that, sometimes the mind can't stay awake for a very long meditation. And I do get messages regardless of whether I do that through ad hoc intuitive messages or through dreams. If you've listened to my podcast, you know I get those quite often in different ways and very unexpected ways sometimes. For some reason, I feel like we are at a time in our existence. I guess the end times would be more of a better way to put it if most people want to understand where I'm coming from. I don't think end times mean that there is an end to this world. I don't think this world or this reality will ever end. I don't think that's the case. I do think it might be the end of what we know is our time, meaning that there's going to be great and sweeping changes. And I do believe that that is where we're at. I do believe that we are culminating into a very interesting set of circumstances and times that are going to challenge us greatly. I wanted to meditate tonight, and I don't do this a lot, but I decided to take a quick nap first because I didn't want to sleep through my meditation, which happens a lot when you're super tired, heavy duty job and working out all the time, things like that. It's hard to stay awake sometimes. So tonight I took a, quick power nap, and then I stayed in place, and I decided, well, I'm going to call together a lot of the entities that I have worked with over many years. And I brought in my former sister-in-law, my former father-in-law, my father, my mother, the Galactic Council, my spirit guide, all of them. I need to have a conversation, or I need to hear some things. And I started the conversation or asked the questions and kind of brought up my concerns. Now, first I'll stop for a second because what I'm going to try to convey, because an hour long streaming consciousness connection with the spiritual realm, if you will, is very hard to remember all of it. I wish I could have recorded the vocals or the thoughts that were coming through in my consciousness. I wish I could have recorded that. I guess maybe I'll have to try it verbally periodically just to see if that might make a difference. Some people do that. I've heard a lot of people do that. I can do that, but for some reason I didn't feel like this was the case because most of this was really meant for me, and I'm going to try to convey some of it because it was really kind of interesting, but a lot of my concerns too center around the folks that are coming forward and the ideas of what most people would consider prophecy and certain figures, people with very specific roles coming through, things that are just kind of very in your face, if you will. Like the Pope recently died, and I'm sure they may or may not have had another one voted in already. I don't know. I haven't done that much research. But I know that Pope Francis did die like the Monday after Easter, I guess, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that's coincidence, but there is some very high level figures coming forth that I think have kind of been in the background for a while, but they've taken the opportunity now that a very high level figure like the Pope has died and taking advantage of those times and people that are questioning things in line with that. And all of a sudden here on social media especially pops up this guy claiming to be the Mahdi. And I don't entirely know that I can understand what that means, but I believe it's more of a messenger that is supposed to have been through lineage and through succession named by name to be the messenger for Jesus, Allah, Muhammad, all of those high level prophets from the past. And some of them are, I guess, listed as gods. It can be very confusing, right? And this guy is getting quite the following. And it seems like the more you get on an algorithm like that on social media, the more other things pop up. And it seems like everybody's on this bandwidth. Everybody's on this trend. And it seems like so many people are concerned and talking about this kind of thing. And I do believe through all the meditations I've had in the years that I've meditated and all the connections I've had, all the messages I've had, not to prove anything or try to prove anything, but it seems like we are culminating into a time that's going to be very challenging, and it's not going to be for the weak. And I think if you pay attention just to the logical parts of things, not even the spiritual or the metaphysical or the energetic parts of what's going on, all you got to do is look around the world. All you got to do is pay attention to the things that are putting out in the news. So a lot of the things that our current president seems to be pressing and doing, the geometric storms that are supposedly the cause of 3 countries going dark, all their power went off. There's just so many things happening out there and going on that would suggest that we may be at that trial period that has been prophesied for a long time. I'm not going to say that that's true because over the years and all the generations that have come and gone, everybody has thought the same thing. On the same note, many generations that have reached the high pinnacle of technology have simply disappeared or just gone out of existence from what we would call our world, our planet, our place. And so it's almost like there's a periodic reset for humanity and what we would consider our world. And I do believe that we are due for that. Not a prophecy. I'm not stating fact, just throwing some ideas out there. And these are the kind of things I went into meditation about, and to see what my role might be or why I chose to be here, because I do believe we all choose what we come in here to experience, perhaps choose to be at a very specific time and place in the evolution of humanity. I did get that validation from my father, who was the primary speaker or communicator of this information. And it was very, very high level and very detailed and it just flowed like a river. It was an entire hour of information that I'm sure has been seeded into my subconscious for me to tap into, or it'll come through and pop up when it's absolutely necessary for me to know that, when I should know that, and why I should know that. Because I do believe that everything we hear, whether it's through thoughts or through meditation or through real experiences or what we would call real, it is part of what the subconscious does. It's always recording, it's always listening, it's always storing those things, for later purposes to create a reality and an experience for us anytime, anywhere. And so it's like this huge database of information that we have collected, or it has collected for us to experience. And some of the things I wanted to talk about, I there's no way I could talk about it all because I don't remember every little bit of it, to be honest. I wanted to kind of bring forth some things. So one of the things that my father talked about was that there are more entities or more beings in this cosmos, this universe existence that is never ending, always expanding, always growing, always learning, but that the amount of souls, actual souls, is small in comparison to the amount of beings that have come and gone. And he continued to say that those beings that are really souls having an experience, as in this case as humans, are directly linked to what we would consider to be God. And originally he said that what it really was for our next level, or the next level up from us, if you will. I mean, it's hard to explain what he said, but I guess there's levels and there's ideas of ascension and growth. But he said that souls come from a large group of collective souls, and that souls tend to peel off to go have experiences for whatever reason, and that souls do have some differences. They're not all souls are the same. Some are angelic, like he's talked about. Some are otherwise. But that this collective soul is, he kind of threw me in there and to look at it, and it was really interesting because it was not like this experience. But he said that the percentage of souls that are inhabiting bodies here on this planet, this place, this reality, is very small. He also said that there's very few pure human beings amongst the population here. That most of us that live on this planet are hybrids or straight out non-humans that look like humans, that are other beings. He said that this experience, he said that human beings here in this reality, as we know it, is very, very unique, very special. Souls want to come here because they get to experience things in a human body and a human life that doesn't happen in other types of realities or bodies or areas of existence, if there is such a thing. Said that it's not the only place that humans exist, but he said, we'll just talk about where you reside, where you call reality, whatever you call your world. He said that souls love to come here. And he said, I've been here apparently for eons and eons because, I've wanted to, I guess, understand what it was like to be human. And it seems like I never left since. And, I can tell you, being a human being can be tough, but that's part of it. That's, being a human being, not all souls get to do it. Not all souls get to have this experience. And it is my understanding through my father that it is quite the privilege to be able to come here And a lot of people, or souls, sorry, do not want to leave and depart and give up their space. And they're willing to do things, live lives over and over and experiences over and over because it is such a grand experience. And, they're not always wonderful, no, but to be able to feel it all doesn't matter whether it's painful, whether it's happiness, whether it's joy, whether it's sadness, whether it's whatever. To be able to even have those experiences is not something that a very large percentages of entities that have existed or souls that do exist get to have. And so if you are living right now and you have a life and you wake up every day, be thankful, because apparently this is not provided or given to everybody. And this is like a very awesome place and thing to do, to experience all these lives and all these ideas and all these things and feelings, all this stuff. I'm trying hard to describe what he was saying, but he even went further in saying that this collection of souls, or this collective soul, as he called it, is a place of vast learning, vast experiences. I mean, imagine one soul's collection of experiences over many lifetimes. All that stuff we just talked about earlier. Imagine putting all the souls, or many souls, together in one location, I guess, or together, existing in union. He said, though, that is even a small percentage or a small part of what existence is about. He says, if you could imagine existence and the enormity of the ever expanding, well, we call it a universe, but expanding existence, and without limitations, without the possibility of ever retracting. It's always there. It's always been there. It's never going to go away. It's always existed, which, that is hard to wrap your head around, right? It is very difficult. And he said that what we consider existence has always been here. It's kind of equated under the word something, that it's tangible in some way. He said, but nothing also exists. And the way he described nothing is sort of like something, but it was a space or a time or an existence or part of the existence where there is no life. There is a space being held, so to speak, for life to eventually develop or start or begin in that space. He said that nothing and something have to exist. It has to be both. Just like light and dark has to be, right and wrong has to be, good and bad has to be. They have to counter each other. They have to exist simultaneously. So out of nothing can come something, even though our universal laws would say that that's not true. It's hard to imagine something coming from nothing, but it depends on how you describe or define nothing. In this case, that's what I was given. I'm not sure if that makes any sense. It's hard for me to make sense of it. I'm just kind of trying to talk about some of the things that was brought forward, and it was so in depth and so deep that like I said, I wish I could have recorded my thoughts. That would be quite interesting. He did continue, though, talking about some of the reasons why I was incarnate at this time in this space and during these times. Apparently, according to my father, it is something that I volunteer to do quite often, to be here for great transitions. Now, in my actual life, as I know it, this physical life, that is a very real thing as well. It seems like everywhere I go, whatever I undertake, great changes are happening in that undertaking. If I take a new job or I do something different, massive sweeping changes are happening during that transition or soon after I have arrived or started doing those things. And I've often wondered, is it something that I create? Is it something that I manifest because I like a challenge? Or is something that it's just am meant to be there for, that I'm meant to be there for great change? And I've asked about that in meditation and through, my connections, and I haven't gotten a real solid answer. I think it's probably a little bit of both. I do believe. But if I have chosen, in fact, to be here during this great change, then that might speak to why my life is like it is. Because if I'm supposed to be part of what I think may be great and sweeping changes in the world as we know it, then obviously I would have to be prepared for that. What other way is there to condition a human being, evolve a human being, or grow a human being than to give them the challenges that they need to go through to strengthen them to be able to withstand the things that they're meant to go through? Now, once again, that's not something I can prove or validate, but it seems like a very big theme for me that I'm always around for great changes, and it's been true my whole life. I wish I could sometimes, hide in a corner, but I've never been meant to do that apparently. And speaking of change and creation, my father also kind of talked about the fact that us as souls, us as beings, we can create. Many of us have chosen, and most of us choose when we come here to have a very specific life and a very specific path planned out in many ways. Of course, we have free will. We can choose those things, or we can't choose those things, or we won't choose those things. Sometimes we get to our goals, and sometimes we follow our path. But he said that a lot of times people are fighting what they know is what they're supposed to do. Intuitively, deep down, they always know what they should be doing, but we tend to fight it. He said if we would just learn to be like a river and just allow the flow to happen, then your life would be a lot more magical, or would be a lot more experiential, full of more experiences. It would give us much more calm and much more ease in all the things that we're going to experience, whether they're good or bad. That's so very true because I remember as a youngster, I often had those thoughts even when I was younger. It's like, I feel like I'm just on a ride, that I'm not really struggling to get where I'm supposed to be. I just seem to be where I need to be. And I don't know if that's, because I'm just agreeing with my path or what that is, but it really doesn't matter. But I think that equates to what my father was talking about. But he also said, though, that if you want to know who the creator is, because I've asked that over the last several meditations, it's like, I really want to know, I really want to integrate and quote unquote meet the creator. Who and what does the creator look like? Who is he or they? I mean, I've kind of gotten some hints, and I've seen what most people would call God in many different ways, different forms, different shapes, different ideas. But he said that if you really want to know who the creator is, he said, go in your bathroom and look in the mirror. Is it because we are all creators? Now, it didn't exactly make me feel like I've met the creator, but I get the point. Is because although we may be here for a specific path, specific ideas, goals, things we're supposed to experience, it does not mean that we can't create, because we can. We have the power to do that, to manifest, to realize is the better way to put it, to realize our dreams and goals and ideas. And he said that, to do that, you just have to proclaim it. You have to claim it. And you have to continually do that. Believe in it, work towards it, and anything is possible. He said there is no limitations on any possibility that you can dream up. Now, it might be hard to imagine that you could regrow a leg if you've lost a leg, but I think you understand what I mean by there's no limitations, because I do believe that we do create. Our mind is something that's very, very powerful and is connected to everything there is. And there's no reason why we can't pull in resources if we just simply ask and we claim it and we put our name on it. And you can do that through many different ways. A lot of people do that through religious activities or regiments. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think we're all trying to get to the same place. We're all trying to get to the same idea, looking at the same diamond, different names, different rituals, things like that. It was quite an experience to have a conversation with my father again, who has, well, not that it's been that long. He's been passed on to the other side, I don't know, probably 10 years now. And he has been showing up in my dreams a lot recently. It's definitely been an idea given to me that I needed to connect with him. And so tonight I was able to do that. And a lot of people think that I'm talking crazy here, and I get that. Our experiences that we have through meditation or otherwise, or however you get that streaming consciousness from the other side or outside of ourselves, you were going to experience things that I don't and I won't. And you could barely and probably even have a hard time describing those things. Just like I'm trying to describe these things, and it's very difficult at times to put it together in logical sequence and not lose everybody. I hope I'm not losing everybody. Encourage you guys, really, 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 really encourage you guys to learn how to meditate, whatever that does or works for you, and find a method that calms your mind enough that you can go in like I did tonight and simply bring some concerns forward and then shut up and listen. Because a lot of people that I have as clients will say, I've been praying and I've been intending and all these things. It's like they're doing all the talking or communicating. You got to find time to actually listen to the answer. Sometimes you just got to be still and hear and understand. In this case, it was like I was not hearing voices, but it was like telepathy, I guess you'd say. The communication was coming through what I would imagine are my thoughts. Now, was it me? Who knows? Doesn't matter. It's my higher consciousness. It's my subconscious. It's my true connection to my father and all those people I called in. Who knows? Doesn't matter. The thing is that there is a knowing out there, somewhere outside of us. Give it whatever name you like, whatever method you like, whatever process you like, whatever works for you. And you don't have to share it to the world like I do many of my things. Keep it to yourself. That's fine. What's meant for you is meant for you. And it may not make sense to anybody else. And you may feel like and look like a very crazy person. I can tell you that many people that get these kinds of things, everybody gets them. A lot of people look at people like that as loco. But we are alive at a very awesome time to be able to express these things and to tell people about these things, because it's not as outlandish as it used to be, because many, many more people are experiencing these things as the veil thins, as they say, quote unquote. The timelines are converging, things are squeezing, frequencies are getting closer. So many things are coming across from the other side much easier, and so many people are experiencing them that it's almost outrageous in many ways. But many people are afraid to talk about it, afraid to share them. What I suggest is, if you have these types of experiences, you learn to meditate, or there's just something that happens, one day or many days or through your dreams, find somebody that you can have confidence in to share these with, because, keeping them to yourself and trying to understand them sometimes is difficult. It's always good to have an outsider look at your thoughts and your ideas, your dreams and things like that, to help you try to make sense of it all. Many things that come through for most people don't make sense. The other side has a very different type of language, if it's a language at all, a communication that is not the same as ours. and it can be very difficult to make sense of it all. Find yourself somebody that can listen to you and help you kind of break it down and maybe help you understand it or realize that what you're getting is very pure and it is absolutely spot on for you. All right, I think I've kind of wandered around the wilderness here enough. I encourage you guys to go to my website as well, lifebymazak.com, lifebymazak.com. On there's a page for services and there's products. There's links to all my blogs and podcasts and all kinds of things. I love to work with people. As I work with people over all these years, I have learned so many things. I'm a little bit of all the clients I've worked with and all the people that have done readings for me and have helped me. And so this is how you grow. You work with people, interact with people. Doesn't mean you have to be friends and go out with them and do all kinds of things with them, whatever. But working with people, working together through things with people, whether you are the student or you are the teacher, you will learn something. So reach out to me. I would love to work with you. I love to hear from you. Stay strong and live your life.